All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, Hashem Ruach HaKodash. All right. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is called The Earth is Defiled. And pretty much the title comes from the scriptures, in the book of Isaiah 24, where it speaks about the earth being defiled. And in this lesson, I've had this this article for a little while. I'm almost positive I probably went over it before, but I just don't remember. Right now, it's saying there's buffering. The video is buffering, so I don't know if it's actually playing or not. So if you brothers can hear me, let me know. If not, then I'll try to refresh and see what happens. Just let me know. Just wait to see, to hear from you brothers. Okay, all good. Okay. All right, hold on. All right, so as you can see here, this is a article called "The History of Big Chemicals War on Food from 1865 to 2007." And what they need to do, they need to refresh, update, because there's a whole lot more stuff. Okay, the water, the water to the brother. Shalom to the Akim on the common boards. Shalom to the brother out there in Mexico. And shalom to any Aqua that may be watching. Pretty much within, Lord's will, if I get a chance, I would like to do a video on it. I was thinking about the condition of the earth, and pretty much all these different nations ruled on the planet Earth, even including Esau back during the time of the Greeks and the Romans. And no nation destroyed this place, destroyed the earth like Esau has destroyed this earth, man. And this destruction of the earth has pretty much taken place within the last, I say, about 200 years. Maybe a little more than 200 years, which is what they call the Industrial Revolution. This is when they started introducing all those factories and the assembly lines, and pretty much everything out of greed, because this devil wants everything done faster and quicker so they can make more money. And then when they get everything done faster and quicker to make more money, they're going to want it to go even faster than that. So pretty much the population of the earth underneath the international bankers is pretty much in slavery to these devils. On all levels, because all these big corporations are owned by the elite, so-called elite, the international bankers and the Fortune 500 families, which are all Edomites. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read some of this article and go through some precepts that I have. I even had to hit up Elder Yashawamba out in Dallas, because I remember this one badass scripture he read years ago, but I just couldn't remember where it was at. I thought it was in the book of Ezekiel. So he ended up sending me that with a couple more. So I got those, in the lineup, so Lord's will, this will be an edifying lesson. All right. So we're just going to start off. I'm going to read the caption, and go into the first paragraph, first couple of paragraphs. And pretty much it's a time chart, from 1865 all the way to 2007, and the different things that were introduced those different years, different corporations that were established, like the USDA, the FDA, the EPA, and how pretty much chemicals were introduced to the food because of insects, and how GMOs were introduced, what year they were introduced. And you'd be surprised, man, the years we're thinking that it was, I mean, it really kicked off in the 90s, but really when you do the research, it really goes back even beyond that, before that. So let me just start reading. It says the history of big chemicals war on food, 1865 to 2007. It says, in the timeline below of the chemical industry's march into our food supply, Will Allen, author of The War on Bugs, answers the question, how did we get here? As Allen points out in the introduction to The War on Bugs, our food supply suffers from a toxic overdose of chemicals. As a result, our health, growth, and longevity are disastrously affected. And this is why the Lord got to take this devil down, because if he doesn't, there'll be no flesh left to be saved. And it's true. It says, why would we ever think it a good idea to spray our food with poisons? Why is it such common practice now? Why is it that we have such a relaxed attitude toward chemical farming, and some of us get agitated at the idea of organic farming? And then I'm not sure if it's in this article, it might have been in this article. Pretty much, these farmers that wanted to do things the natural way, pretty much it were told, look, either get in line or you're gonna find yourself, not having the business, in so many words, So pretty much, ever since these devils have got their clutches, into the agriculture, they pretty much run whatever is out there, It says Will Allen presents this timeline to help us discern the answer of how it happened from The War on Bugs. This is from a book called The War on Bugs. 1865, which we're going to skip that. Well, let's just read it. It said the Colorado potato bee, transported east by the transcontinental railway system, destroys much of the eastern U.S. potato crop. And pretty much, the quicker you're able to get across from one point to another, the quicker those pests, insects, disease travels, like since they have these planes, diseases and viruses and bacteria can travel long distance quickly, So 1867, it says Paris green, a common arsenic paint pigment. So remember, arsenic, they call it Paris green, is first used successfully by Brian Markham on the Colorado potato beetle. There are no regulations on its use at this time, and food often carries high arsenic residues. So pretty much they're using, it's like pretty much you could compare agriculture and pesticides. The pesticides that they use on agriculture, you could compare it to the hospitals using radiation on cancer patients. Now, radiation kills the cancer, but it also kills good cells too. So this arsenic that he used on the potato, on this Colorado potato beetle, it killed the beetle, yeah, but then all that absorbed into the potato, into the ground, into the grass, the very grass that these animals have to eat, and this pretty much all goes back to, let's go okay, now let's go to Genesis 3 and 17. This is after Adam ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It says, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. So from the moment that Adam went off, the ground was cursed, because when you go back to the beginning, the earth yielded everything. Let's go to let's go real quick to Genesis 1 and 1. Let me bring this back here. Genesis 1 and 11. And the power said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed. So no one had to till it, because the earth was created, to bring forth fruit of itself, because the seed was already planted. So it was a paradise. You didn't have to work. You didn't have to do anything. Everything was there provided for you. It says, "And the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind." That's why you're not supposed to. It tells you in the law that you're not supposed to mix diverse seeds, because when you mix diverse seeds, what happens is you get confusion. You get a fruit that is not a fruit. It has no seeds. It's just a combination of different seeds. Just like with cattle too. I believe cattle, you weren't supposed to. In the law, it says that you're not supposed to mix different types of cattle. But this devil, what does he do? He goes and he splices shit and he fucks with the DNA and he adds this to it and he takes that away from it. Before you know, you have monster fruits, monster animals, monster people, because they're even doing the shit to people. Because this devil is a disaster waiting to happen, man. If this devil, if there was no power, I'm just saying it hypothetically, because we know that Yahweh is the power. But if there was no power, this devil would have destroyed himself and the whole earth. But Barakatah Yahweh Shemal Shai, that the Lord is coming back to take this demonic devil down. Says, whose seed is in itself. And that's another thing. They take the seeds out. Oh, it's so much hassle. When you eating the fruit and you got to spit the seeds out, it's such a hassle. So we're going to take the seeds out for you, so you don't have to worry about that cumbersome, act of trying to spit the seeds out, so you can just enjoy your fruit. And there's certain seeds, like in grapes, grape seeds is very good, very nutritious for the heart. So there's certain people that'll take the seed, the grapes with the seed in it, and you'll hear them eat the grape and crunch the seeds up, because the seeds are very good for the heart. But this devil said, no, that's too much for you. So what we're going to do, we'll take the seeds out so you could just enjoy the fruit. Same thing with watermelon. Watermelon seeds are excellent for you, but these devils, what they do, they take the seeds out. When the Lord created it that way, because they were supposed to, the earth was supposed to replenish. And once you went through 1 year, then the earth will, rejuvenate, and then you have more fruit growing. So the Lord, everything was in perfect order, in perfect working order. But this devil wants to be the Most High, so he has to fuck with shit to make it so-called better. Define the Most High, pretty much. Define Yahweh, B'Shem Yahweh Shai, upon the earth, and it was so. So at this point, when this was created, when Yahweh Shai and the Alahayim created that, the earth and everything, they made the earth to bring forth fruit and seeds and everything of its own. It says, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and the Most High saw that it was good. So what happened was, Adam, when he went off, the Lord said, I'll read it again. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. See, because now you have to go and you have to till the ground, in the sweat of your brow, eating, when prior to it, you didn't have to do anything. You was hungry, you just go pluck the fruit or pluck whatever it was that you wanted to eat. It says, thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. And prior to Adam going off, there were no thorns, there were no thistles, there were no weeds, nothing that can harm the plants, nothing that can harm the trees, or none of that. It says, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. See, in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So all the way from that point until now, you see the degeneration of the earth. But it really started to really get worse and really, really bad when Cain came on the scene and killed Abel. This is Genesis 4:10. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. See, because he killed him and slayed him, and his blood spilled on the ground. And you know what the scriptures say, that the earth is defiled with the blood thereof, and it cannot be cleansed but by the blood of him that shed it. So when he did that, the earth was cursed, right? And it says, and now art thou cursed from the earth, and the Lord stripped him of his pigment, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, the word till means to, when you're like digging into it, digging furrows and digging trenches and stuff to plant the seed, which comes from the word H5647, ibad, which means a servant, to work, serve, to labor, work, do work. This is where you get agriculture from, to work for another, serve another by labor. So it says, when thou tillest the ground, and when you work the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. Why? Because the earth had started to degenerate from that point. But now, really, within the last 200, maybe a little more than 200 years, the earth really is under serious poisoning. The earth is in bad need of a detox because of this goddamn devil that's ruling, because he's so goddamn greedy that he'll destroy himself just so he can make an extra buck. My goodness, this motherfucker is demonic. H3581. Kach. Kach. Strength, power, might, human strength, strength of angels, power of the Most High, strength of animals, strength, produce wealth of soil. So wealth of soil is what we're dealing with, which it says, which that's the word for yield. I'm sorry, the word for strength. It will not give you her strength. It will not yield. And then it goes on to say that a fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth, which that goes into something else. But ever since that point, the earth has been defiled. So now going back here, it says, right, and it says the food often carries high arsenic residues. First use of worldwide search for beneficial controls by the U.S. Bureau of Agriculture. Then you read on down. I'm just going to go. I got a few of them written down, so I'm going to just go to the points. 1883. Let's go to 1883. And I actually put this in the description box so if brothers want to go through it. Maybe there's something that hits you. You may want to do a lesson on. It says the National Fertilizer Association is formed by a conglomeration of dominant fertilizer corporations. See, so as well as establishing regulations for agriculture, you also have these big companies that are formed, to be able to to take control or advantage, of these corporations that are owned by bigger corporations, like the USDA and the FDA. They're owned by the international bankers and whatever other Fortune 500 families or top rich banking families that have a stock in whatever. So who's going to benefit? The people that own it, and the people that own it are the ones that are producing and publishing and writing the policies. So of course they're going to write the policies that are favorable to them. So it says, in part to fund research at land grant colleges to promote use of agricultural chemicals. See, so they were set up to what? To promote the use of agricultural chemicals. It later becomes the Fertilizer Institute. Now we're going to jump down to 1892. It says, and this is when Ellis Island first started processing, the so-called immigrants. Lead arsenate is introduced as a pesticide to control the gypsy moth. It becomes the most popular pesticide in the United States until the early 1950s. So this is going all the way back to the 1800s. Right now we're jumping to 1894. It says the panic economic depression of 1894 causes additional farm losses. 900,000 tons of sodium nitrate are used in Europe alone. More than 165,000 copies of the U.S. Bureau of Agriculture Farmers Bulletin 127, important insecticides, directions for their preparation and use are distributed by 1990. An important recommended poison is arsenic. Arsenic poison of apples is reported in the Boston Globe. So now I'm going to jump down a little bit with that. and then I'm going to jump back up. So we're going to go to 1919 real quick, right? Just to show you something. 1919, Boston Health Department destroys arsenic-contaminated apples. Though a few articles appear in the newspaper, the poisonings are mostly hidden from the general public. So they knew that these different pesticides and chemicals were hurting people. They were causing a problem with the animals, with the bees and all that. But because of their greed, what they did was they omitted, and hid the research that shows that it was harmful, just so that they could make more money. I'm telling you, this motherfucker's the devil. 1920, Boston Health Department destroys more arsenic-contaminated apples. It's 2 years in a row. 1921, it says first use of an airplane as a crop duster. Boston Health Department destroys arsenic-contaminated apples for the 3rd year in a row. Little news of this is leaked to the public. All right. And what is this? What is this constant bombardment of these pesticides doing? They're destroying the ecosystem. The very ecosystem that these devils are using to create this food. So what do you think is happening? Everything is off. Everything is off. And when everything is off, is what is diseased, because it's not at ease. Just like the body is not at ease, the earth is not at ease. So this is Psalms 82:5. This says, they know not, neither will they understand, because no matter what, this devil don't understand. All he understands is greed. You read Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, it tells you all about this devil's greed. He can never have enough. So even if it costs him his own life, he's going to keep pushing until he can just so he can make more money. Because that's just how demonic this devil is. It says, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness, because this demonic spirit that's on them is not allowing them to rationalize and say, you know what? I'm destroying the earth. I'm destroying myself. I'm destroying my family, my people, but he said, but man, that money sure is coming in good. It says all the foundations of the earth are out of course. So everything is out of course. Everything is out of whack. There's nothing that's functioning like it should. And the body and the earth has its own natural immune system, just like the body has an immune system. But what's happening is once the immune system is bombarded with so many pollutants, after a while it gives up. It can't keep up. It'll keep fighting until it can't fight no more. And that's what the earth is doing right now. It's fighting by the skin of its teeth, is hanging on. By the graces of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, this earth hasn't just died, pretty much. And that's where it's heading. If the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai don't stop this demonic demon, this piece of dog shit. So out of course, H4131, mawat, to totter, shake, slip. You know when something totters, like you have dominoes and you hit one domino and they call it the domino effect, because it keeps knocking those rest of those dominoes down. That's what's happening right now. Everything is falling apart. Yeah, okay, the water, brother. I believe this is this Rata Zawanya? If I said your name correctly, bro, Benji from Chicago. Psalms 36:46. He devises mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. He doesn't avoid evil. He sits and meditates on how he can make more money. If it's not, Salakia, bro. All right. So let's go back. It says to dislodge. When something is placed somewhere and it gets dislodged, it's not working properly. It says to be greatly shaken, let fall, drop. So let's go back. So pretty much all the foundations of the earth. Okay, Shalom, brother Salakia, brother Ahawad from GMS Toronto. Shalom, Toronto. Toronto's in the house. Shalom. All right, so everything is out of course. Now going back here to the information. and we get get some more precepts in there. We're going back up to 1906. What was I going to get out of here? It says national concern over food adulteration results in the watered down Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906, because they had to water stuff down because they had to relax the regulations so that they can introduce their chemicals. And this is why we tell you that the USDA, the FDA, all those people that are in charge of what goes into our food, pretty much they were all chemical corporations. Upton Sinclair's book, The Jungle, a description of the filthy meatpacking industry and pesticide poisoning, prompt much of the public outcry. Administration of the 1906 Act resides within the Department of Agriculture, so unfortunately, public and environmental safety issues become secondary to big agriculture's demand. See? And that's what it is. It's all about making that money, because these devils can never have enough. They're greedy. All right? We're jumping down to 1910. First National Pesticide Act. The law regulates the composition of arsenic and other pesticides, not their safety. It is only a truth in an advertising law. So pretty much, it was all about these big chemical companies are able to sell their chemicals so that they can make money, and at the expense of the people's health. The Industrial Workers of the World, IWW, begins organizing farm workers. All right, we're jumping down now to 1912. Federal Trade Commission is established. Pesticides and fertilizers are supported to be regulated in the marketplace for the first time. Jumping down to 1927. Let's go to 1927. So the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is established. That's the USDA. In 1927 is the administrator of the FDA, and the FDA was later. It came later. It says 1928. Standard Oil hires Theodore Seuss Geisel, aka Dr. Zeus, to sell the insecticide Flit. This move proves to be a stroke of marketing genius, leading to the most successful advertising campaign up to that time. And pretty much they used him to promote, this pesticide, insecticide, pesticide use. All right. Jump into 1929. 29 million pounds of lead arsenate and 29 million pounds of calcium arsenate are applied on food and cotton. The American Journal of Health suggests arsenic spraying should be reduced. See, so why? Because the more of their chemical they can sell, the more money they make. Right? So now we're jumping down to 1933, a famous date. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt introduces what? The New Deal. But it also, which one is it? Steady data, arsenic, lead, the chronicles. Okay. Arthur Callett and F.J. Schlink published their book, 100 Million Guinea Pigs. The chapter, A Steady Diet of Arsenic and Lead, chronicles the hazards of spray residues. The book becomes a bestseller. A 15-year-old Montana girl dies from poisoning by fruit spray with arsenic. And what's happening is these pesticides, these chemicals, the waste from pigs and these farms, that they got farming, and all the what is that called? Antibiotics that they given to these animals, to the fish that are farm raised and all that. All that stuff is polluting the waters. All these chemicals are being dumped into the waters. The drinking water, the very waters that we need to survive. And that's why now, instead of drinking water off the tap, you got to go and buy bottled water, which has a shit in the plastic, which you don't know where the hell that water is really coming from. It's of the Lord's mercies that we're not consumed, because this demon that's ruling is just that, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Isaiah 24, for the earth mourneth and fadeth away. Why do you think the earth is mourning and fading? Because it's constantly being bombarded with these with these poisons, these toxins. You know, let's look at the word fadeth. The word fadeth is nabal, right? H5034, because we read earlier in Genesis, right, that the earth, matter of fact, let's go back to it. Let's bring this up here. We read earlier that in Genesis 1:11, and the power said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And the Most High saw that it was good. So pretty much everything was in the proper order. But when this devil got in place, right, and took over the governance of it, right, it says that the earth fadeth away. Now, when you look up the word fadeth away, it goes back to the Hebrew word H5034, nabal, which means foolish. Now, you can have a child like the instance of that lesson that Elder Tazadakba did, with the baby that got the shots, and the baby was fine. And then after he got the shots, he was like pretty much comatose. He wasn't the same baby as he was before, right? So the earth, which was created, it was in his youth. It was in his brightness. It was vibrant. It was working properly. But then with the sludge and the chemicals and the pollution and everything that was dumped into the waters and into the land and into these landfills and all that, it started to slow the process down and started to degenerate it, and almost to a retardation state. Like these people that eat these different diets and eat different stuff and get pumped with all these vaccines. After a while, those metals and all that stuff go into their brain and cover their pineal gland and cover different parts of their brain to where they start becoming retarded, or they start getting Alzheimer's disease, or they start getting dementia, because it's a slow process, it's a slow kill. And this is what's happened to the earth today. And there's another thing that Elder Apostle always should go into, was the land Sabbaths. These devils do not let the land rest. The land needs to rest. Just like you work and then you at night, you got to, you're supposed to rest and get rest so your body can rejuvenate. The earth is the same way. It's a living organism. It needs to rejuvenate. It needs to build up its nutrients back. Otherwise, it's going to be totally destroyed. But this devil does not allow that. So it says to be senseless, be foolish, because now the things that the earth is doing is senseless. Why? Because the devil that's ruling is defiled it. It says to be foolish, to regard or treat as foolish, to treat with contempt, to sink or drop down, languish, meaning to lack, wither and fall, fade, because everything was set up in the proper way. But these devils destroyed it. And this leads me to the set of precepts that Elder Yashawama sent me. Jeremiah 12:4. How long shall the land mourn, and the herbs of every field wither? For the wickedness of them that dwell therein. The beasts are consumed, and the birds, because they said, he shall not see our last end. So pretty much the birds, the beasts, everything is messed up, man. There was I was watching that video. What was the documentary? The documentary on The Devil We Know. And there was a farmer that sold a part of his land to DuPont Company, and then once they started, he had cows and he had, livestock, and his land was good. And then once they started setting up shop and dumping the poisons and the chemicals into the water stream, his cattle started dying till they finally all died off. His land just got messed up. His livelihood was messed up. His health got messed up, and he eventually died. So right now, everything is out of course. Everything is withering. Even when you go get grass-fed beef, or chickens, so-called chickens that are raised humanely, that are not corrals, if I'm using the word correctly, inside of these bird cages under stressful situations, the stuff that they're eating and the grass that they're eating is defiled, because all the poisons in the water and in the land, It gets into the earth, it gets into the grass, it gets into the fruit, it gets into the trees. And when these cattle eat the grass, yeah, you're eating grass-fed beef, but you're eating grass-fed beef with antidepressants, with different chemicals in it. So this devil has to be put down, or there will be no flesh left to be saved. So now let's go to the next precept, which is Joel chapter 1 and verse 16. There was one more he had sent me. And okay, let me just get that real quick. I did bring it up, but I guess Satan. All right, Joel 1 and 16. Is not the meat cut off before our eyes? Yea, joy and gladness from the house of our power. And I mean, this goes back then, there were certain situations where we suffered the curses back then. But even now, we're going through the same thing. Like, I love corn, but I'm afraid to eat it because as we read down in the article, and even before I read this article, I knew that the majority of corn was GMO. Now, you might see organic corn, but when's the last time you saw non-GMO corn? And then when you saw the non-GMO corn, who deemed it non-GMO? Was it the USDA or the FDA? So you got to wonder about that. It said the seed is rotten under the clods. And right now, it came to the point where that was it. I'm not sure if it's in this article or something else, that once Monsanto took over, they created that Terminator seed, that GMO seed, and now farmers, if they want to stay in business, they got to buy those seeds. So I mean, I had read that somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where. But pretty much, they cut out a lot of farmers, out of this business unless they conform to the regulations in Monsanto and to use their shit. It says the seed is rotten under the clods, the garners are laid desolate, the barns are broken down, for the corn is withered, and the corn is withered. This corn that we're eating today is GMO corn, and that does not go well in our system, because our system was made to eat, the fruits that the Lord created. It says I'm saying I'm doing this lesson, but brothers, keep in mind that we're in hell. If we try to stay away from everything, we'll drop dead from starvation. The matter of fact, before I read anymore, let me get this real quick. Ezekiel 4:13, and the Lord said, Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, among these nations, whither I will drive them. So we were going to eat this, and the Lord has protected us. Just like these different beetles and different insects have grown immune to certain pesticides, the Lord is allowed us to be able to make it through this, without it totally destroying us. So don't be like, I ain't gonna eat nothing because everything's contaminated. This is just bringing out, this is a shameful spewing on Esau and on his glory. So don't get simple and be like, I'm not gonna eat nothing, because we still have to eat. And this is where we said our prayers and pray to the Lord that these foods and these drinks that we drink don't harm us, and we just take it from there. Just throwing that out there for you brothers, because we're going to eat our bread defiled among the nations, as the scriptures say. All right, so going back, it said the corn is withered. How do the beasts groan? And the beasts are groaning. Do you see mad cow disease? And you are watching the video, What the Health, and they show you how these cattle are all fucked up. And they show you how these inspectors that are supposed to be inspecting the meat and stuff to make sure it's good, they give them a knife to carry with them. And every time they see like an abscess or something, they stab it, and whether it be in the leg or on the buttocks or on the shoulder, they'll stab it, and you see the pus draining out. Then they'll clean it up, chop it up, throw it in a package, and then send it out to the different supermarkets. So it's heart-wrenching, but we understand that this devil, the Lord got him doing this because you know, the Lord eventually is going to take this devil down very soon, because the earth can't keep going like this, and we can't keep going like this, man. You know, this constant bombardment of poisons. The body can only take so much. That's why the scriptures say, if the Lord don't shorten these days, there shall no flesh be left to be saved. It says the herds of the cattle are perplexed. See, they're perplexed. The beasts are groaning. The herds of the cattle are perplexed. They found dead deer by water streams, because they were drinking that water and eating the grass that was poisoned by those chemicals, and they just dropped dead. And the cattle are perplexed because they can't be cattle. You know, you got mad cow disease and cows dying from cancer and all kind of shit because they have no pasture. Why? Because the pasture that they do have is contaminated. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate. O Lord, to thee will I cry, for the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame hath burned all the trees of the field. The beasts of the field cry also unto thee, and even the beasts are crying unto the Lord. For the rivers of waters are dried up. Why? Because this is happening because Esau is fucked up. He got the natural ecosystem of the world, of the earth, all out of course. And the fire had devoured the pasture of the wilderness. So got one more here, and then we'll go back to the article. Hosea 4:3. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall lack, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. And you see that. And that was another thing that the farmer that I was telling you about earlier noticed. He said he saw the fish just dying in the waters. You know, he saw his cattle getting messed up from eating the grass and drinking the water. You know, boy, oh boy. All right, so going back, where we at now? We're 1936. Okay, cool. 1936. The Dust Bowl ends. Methyl bromide is introduced to the United States by the California Department of Food and Agriculture. Oh, yeah. All right. So methyl bromide, what is that? What is methyl bromide? Well, let's find out. Bring this over here. Methyl bromide. It says methyl bromide. Introduction. Acute toxicity. Methyl bromide, labeled with a danger signal word, is an extremely toxic vapor in humans. Methyl bromide is readily absorbed through the lungs. Most problems occur as a result of inhalation. About 1,000 human poisoning incidents caused by methyl bromide exposure have been documented, with effects ranging from skin and eye irritation to death. Most fatalities and injuries occurred when methyl bromide was used as a fumigant, and they actually put it in legislation, and they were fumigating the plants and all that and the fruits with this. You know, and you can read the rest. I put the article in there. I just wanted to get the point. So it says methyl bromide is introduced to the United States by the California Department of Food and Agriculture. So you see how all these different institutions and agencies are pushing the chemicals of these big corporations. You know, and that was 1936. All right, now let's go to 1941. The Nutrition Foundation is formed by food and chemical companies. Did you hear that? The Nutrition Foundation is formed by food and chemical companies to fund research into nutrition. Agriculture in the United States becomes even more industrialized, using chemicals, mechanization, and monoculture to increase production and feed war-torn Europe, 1941 through 50. So if you're thinking that this is something that just happened in the 90s, now this was going on. This is going on. Now we're jumping to 1947. And we're going to jump around in this one because the federal fungicide Insecticide and Rodenticide Act replaces the 1910 Pesticide Act. Okay. The law, like its predecessor, regulates the synthetic organic pesticides and does not specifically address environmental or public health. It's all about what works on these insects, not what the effects are on the crops and the people and wildlife. All about, well, it works on the beetle. It got that moth, killed that mother. Yeah, but it's killing everybody else too. Goddamn devils. It says the Agriculture Department, USDA, administers the law but does not set up a procedure for recall of products until 1969. That's what? Over 20 years. No, a little under 20 years. No, over 20 years. The USDA filed criminal proceedings only once from 1947 through 69, although by 1969, documented pesticide accidents had risen to 50,000 per year. The USDA investigated only 60 accidents to people and 120 to animals in 1969. Now, this is the point here. The growth hormone, DES, is approved for use in cattle by the USDA and the FDA. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me the same people that say that the one that say, well, this is organic, this is not, this is GMO, this is not. It's all a big scam, man. Although animal tests since 1938 had shown it to be carcinogenic. See, from 1938. So you're thinking this is a new thing. This goes all the way back. All the way back. So now what we're going to do is going to jump down to 1979 and then come back up. Let's go to 1979, dealing with that DES. And a matter of fact, before we read that, what is DES? No, that's something else. Okay, Salaka. 1979. First state organic law passed in California. The registration for the growth hormone DES used on U.S. cattle is suspended because of evidence that it is carcinogenic. And they said that it was carcinogenic all the way from 1938. It wasn't until 1979, 41 years later, that they took it out. So you know how much damage that has done from that point until this point? Antibiotic and hormone-treated meat from the United States is banned in Europe. Even they got hip to the shit. They said, man, fuck that. We ain't taking nothing from America. This is going back in 1979. So now let's jump back up to 1954. And I got more, more precepts after this. 1954, French lose to the force. Assistant Secretary of Agriculture, Earl Butts, claims agriculture is now a big business and farmers must adapt or die, which means that they're going to have to just get with the program or they're going to starve. Bottom line. All right, now let's jump to 1958. The Delaney Clause becomes law. It disallows carcinogenic additives in processed foods. So this is 1958. So they were putting carcinogenic additives in processed foods even prior to that. 1958, before any of us were born. All right, what's the next one? 1962. Rachel Carson publishes Silent Spring. It is an immediate bestseller. Carson warns that excessive use of chemical pesticides is killing wildlife and damaging human health. Chemical corporations, the American Medical Association, and large-scale farmers begin an immediate and aggressive counterattack to Carson's views. Why? Because every time you bring out anything against these different corporations, they got the money to pay people to come against what you're saying. Like Oprah spoke against beef, right? And she pretty much got shut down for a while, so she had to retract that. You can't speak about these big corporations, especially if you out there in the spotlight. And it says that it affected what? The wildlife, right? And damaging human health, which we read here in Joel, or was it? Let me see. Was it Joel? Or was it? Yeah, right here. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish, because people are languishing. What does it mean to languish? It means to lack. What are we lacking? Nutrients, vital nutrients for our health. The word lack, H535, amal, to be weak, to droop, to languish, to be exhausted. Why? Because the proper nutrients are not in our bodies. Because this demon that's ruling is extracting all the good out of it and just putting stuff in it just so people can eat, so that they can make money, so they can have longer shelf life, so that they don't have to cast or throw stuff out to make more money, man. Okay, so now moving on. The Committee for Economic Development publishes an adaptive program for agriculture, which promotes huge corporate farms at the expense of family farms. See? And those big farms that you see, where they have everything, like just, I mean, you have a fence that might be, let's say, 12 feet by 12 feet, and you have pigs in there that thing may fit, let's say 10 pigs comfortably. They'll have 100 pigs in there, all over on top of each other. You know. Which promotes huge corporate farms at the expense of family farms. This report guides government policy for more than a decade. All right, that's 62. Now we're jumping down to 68. It says Science Magazine publishes an article linking bird population declines with reproductive failures caused by pesticide accumulations in their tissues. See? And those pesticides so it affects everything, man. Whether you're in the air, whether you on land, or whether you in the sea, the shit that this devil is doing is affecting everything and everybody. So he has to be put down. The Yahweh Bashem El Shai will put this devil down, man. He will put him down. (1970) Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is created. Pesticide registration is moved from the USDA to the EPA. Campbell Soup Company, which is it's the same shit. Campbell Soup Company finds dangerously high levels of PCBs in chicken. 1970. Approximately 146,000 New York chickens are destroyed. You think they're doing that now? 1974. 1974. Now check this out. 1974. The first organic certification organizations are formed in the United States. California Certified Organic Farmers, CCOF, and Oregon Tilth, both are NGOs. First genetic engineering research is proposed back in 1974. And this is where they start fucking splicing shit, in the food. The next one is 1982. Chemical manufacturers push for support of genetic engineering to make crops resistant to herbicides. See, so now that they got their chemicals out there, and the chemicals are destroying the crops, they're destroying the insects, but they're destroying the crops too. So now they got to fucking splice the genes of these foods so that they can be resistant to the pesticides, so that the pesticide doesn't kill them. But it's all about profit, because they don't give a fuck what the pesticide is doing to the people and the animals and the wildlife. If they wanted to reduce chemical use, they would have pushed for allelopathic weed suppressant characteristics, said Chilean-born University of California professor Miguel Altieri in 1997, which he had to be a Jake. 1983, executive of the largest food testing lab in the country are found guilty of falsifying tests determining food safety. See? That's a good precept. Talib 100, Ezekiel 4:17, that they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. And they are consuming away. All right. Next one is 1983. Let's see. The lab said some 80% of the testing is found to be phony. This lab worked on contract for the chemical corporations. See, everything that's dealing with food it all goes back to chemical corporations. The poisons tested remain on the market. Esau's a trip, man. Let's jump to 1988. The U.S. EPA finds 74 different pesticides in the groundwater of 38 agricultural states. And this is why we read earlier. Let's see if I still have it. Psalms 82:5. They know not, neither will they understand, that they walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Why? Because they keep pumping shit into the waters. And they tested it. They said that there's 74 different pesticides in the groundwater of 38 agricultural states. And there's how many states? 51. So pretty much every water in America is pretty much contaminated. All right, where else we got? 1989. Let me see what else I got over here. Let's go here. Exodus 23:25. And you shall serve the Lord your power, Yahweh Bashem El Shai, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee, because this food that we eat today is causing sickness because of all the chemicals that are in it. And it goes back to Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, which a lot of jakes are being affected by this. You know, different cancers and rheumatoid arthritis and all kind of different diseases, dementia and all kind of diseases, diabetes. All right, let's move on. It says 1989. The Conservative World Health Organization estimates that there are a million pesticide poisonings in the world each year, resulting in 20,000 deaths. But that to them, it's worth it because they're getting paid at the expense of other people's health. And really, at the end of it all, at the expense of their own health. Two environmental groups, Natural Resources Defense Council and Mothers and Others for a Livable Planet, released a study implicating the apple growth regulators alar as a cause of cancer. Alar is banned, and the furor over its widespread use helps stimulate a public demand for organic food. Apple growers suffer significant loss as the market for apples evaporates for several months. The European Union, EU, bans the importation of U.S. meat treated with any growth hormone. That's that DES, back in 1989. And this is why, like, I noticed, like, I never had allergy. I never had no allergies before, you know, but I noticed, like, in the 90s, especially, like, in the mid to late 90s, I would sneeze like crazy, you know, with allergies. And it's all the shit that the chemtrails, the shit that they put in the food and the meat and all of that. And it's not until now that I'm realizing that, you know? All right, 1990. It says farmers spray more than 800 million pounds of pesticides on U.S. crops. 2 out of 5 people are expected to get cancer in their lifetime. 1992. Tissue analysis demonstrates a substantial link between pesticides and breast cancer. The European Union approves the first government-enforced standard for organic production. 93. The National Research Council warns that children are at particular risk from pesticide residue because standards were created to measure the effect of pesticides on adult males, ignoring children's lower body weight. 94. Let's get this real quick. The FDA approves genetically engineered recombinant bovine growth hormone, RBGH or RBST. After a long activist fight, the hormone was developed to increase milk production. The United States already has an enormous surplus of milk. Now, what is this? What is this madness? What is RBGH? Recombinant bovine growth hormone is an artificial is an artificially produced version of a cow's natural growth hormone that is manufactured using genetically engineered bacteria that have the cow gene spliced into their DNA. It is one of the synthetic hormones banned from U.S. and organic agriculture production by the USDA Organic Standard. Okay, it's banned now, but they actually allowed it in 94. The genetically engineered flavor saver tomato is approved for sale. It tastes terrible and no one buys it. That's why the kid from Brooklyn, he said, these tomatoes today taste like shit. Because he remembers when you eat a tomato, tomato's supposed to be sweet. You know? Studies link organochlorine chemicals with male reproductive problems and breast cancer. Problems include a 50% drop in male sperm count in 40 years. Sale of organic food, top $2 billion. Average sales increases have exceeded 20% per year since 1991. Monsanto and Delta and Pineland get federal permission to grow genetically modified Roundup ready cotton. See? So even if you buy something that's 100% cotton, you got GMO cotton, man. GMO cotton ain't, you know? That's why you get all kind of rashes and all kind of shit, you know? All right, where we at? That was 94. Now we 96. And it's we're almost through the list, but I want to get a couple more precepts. See what else I have over here. Psalms 104:10. He sendeth the springs into the valley, which run among the hills. And these springs that the Lord set up is to water the land. So when these devils are pumping those chemicals into the water, guess what? It's getting in those springs, it's getting in all that goodness of the water, and it's contaminating everything in its path. The fish are dying. That's why whales are beaching up. You see bodies of water where there's so many dead fish you can't even count. The stink is coming up because they're all dying from these pesticides. Birds flying in the air just dropping. You know, animals on earth are just dying. People are getting cancer at an alarming rate. They give drink to every beast of the field. And what happens is when it's contaminated, those beasts of the field get contaminated. And when those beasts of the field get contaminated, guess what? When they end up on your dinner plate, they're not going to give you something that's good for you. If it's something sick, they're not going to kill it and throw it away. They're going to take it and chop out whatever they can and sell it. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of heaven have their habitation. And that's why you see birds dropping dead, because they're breathing the air, they're drinking the water, which sing among the branches. He watereth the hills from the chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. But this devil is destroying it. You know, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. But this devil is destroying the food out of the earth. And wine that maketh glad the heart of man, which it does, but he puts chemicals in it to preserve it, you know, to stretch it. And oil that maketh his face to shine, and they're messing with the oil. And bread which strengtheneth man's heart. And now what is it doing? It's destroying. And this is why we got to pray when we eat. You know, we pray over our food, because the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, you know, will protect us. Brother Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, fear Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Proverbs 29:16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases, but the righteous shall see their fall. And they will fall. They will fall soon. So the trees of the Lord are full of sap. And that sap is very good. And our elder Yashawamba is the expert on it. Him and the brother, I forget the brother's name. It starts with an I. You know, the brother down there in Dallas, eccentric brother, Shalom. It says the cedars of Lebanon, which he hath planted. Okay. Where the birds make their nests. As for the stork, the fir trees are her house. And this is why the Lord said, Revelation 11:18, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets. This is all the way at the end. And the brother Gadawin, Elder Gadawin out of San Fran, he did a lesson, dealing that this truth is a humbling, and that's a very good video. And it's pretty much, showing how we were going to be broken down, before Yahushua gets back here. We're broken down. Our spirits are strong, but our bodies are broken down. We go through different things, depression and all that, because we know that how things should be, and we know how they are, and we know they're going to change. But right now, they're not there yet. It says, unto the saints and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should have destroyed them which destroy the earth. And the Lord is coming to get you devils. The Lord is coming to get you devils, man. You greedy bastard, you demonic beasts. You goddamn cave beasts. The Most High is going to come and destroy you. He gonna fuck you up. But you international bankers, you're going into hardcore slavery, man. Hardcore slavery. I wanted to read some of this in 2nd Ezra to see what happens. You know what? Let me read a little bit more of this. 1996, Congress unanimously passes the Food Quality Protection Act. It repeals the Delaney Clause in exchange for a provision forcing the EPA to evaluate the combined toxic effects of all pesticides exposures, including those from water and food. This evaluation must use body weight and possible impacts on children as baseline. 97, the FDA approves food irradiation as a way of killing bacteria such as E. coli in beef. 77% of Americans oppose irradiation. More than 600 insects and mites are resistant to one or more pesticides. Approximately 120 weeds are resistant to one or more herbicides. Approximately 115 diseased organisms are resistant to pesticides. 4 million acres of genetically engineered cotton, soybeans, and corn are grown in the United States. 1997. 98, the USDA finally proposes federal organic standards. These proposed standards include irradiation, genetic engineering, sludge. This is USDA finally proposes federal organic standards. These proposed standards include irradiation, genetic engineering, sludge as fertilizer, sodium chloride as a defoliant, and allowing 20% of the animal diet to be not organic. And they feed the cows and them supposed to eat grass. They're feeding them dead cows, dead pig, dead. The public response was a deluge of more than 280,000 complaints. And you're not supposed to be eating no pork, But even the pig, the way they're growing it. The organic food and fiber market continues to grow more than 20% per year. 99, in the United States, 45% of the cotton acreage, 45% of the corn acreage, and 57% of the soybean acreage is planted with genetically modified seed. 2001, the USDA finally adopts national organic standards without including the use of sludge irradiation or genetic engineered approved organic practices because of the outcry from 280,000 concerned voters. 2003, 84% of U.S. canola acreage is planted with GMO seed. 5 major weeds develop resistance to Roundup herbicides, arsenic, paraquat, and 2,4-D are recommended to control resistant weeds. 2005 is the last one I'm going to read. More than 9,000 farmers are accused by Monsanto of violating its patent rules. See? It says most settle out of court. More than 190 farmers and businesses end up in court. All right, so this is, let's just finish out here. 2nd Ezra 15, behold, speak down the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imagination against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. So this wickedness of this devil and this greed has polluted the whole earth. And their hurtful works are fulfilled. Here it is, they got the power over the earth. And what do? They destroy the earth. They destroy the people that are on the earth. They'll destroy themselves if you let them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they have profanely which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. So the Lord is not going to allow this devil to keep going on and destroying his creation, because they already destroyed it. And the only way this earth can be brought back is through the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Yeah, because this is madness, man. This is madness. And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, which is America. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof, because ancient Egypt was not destroyed fully, the whole land. It was just Pharaoh and his military. But America will be totally wiped out by thermonuclear destruction and the lasers from the chariots. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it, which is the destruction. It says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with fearful consolation. Now, I looked up this word blasting and hail, right? Let me bring this over. This is blast, plant anatomy. It says, in plant disease, variable factors affecting diagnosis or early fall freezes cause blasting, sudden death of leaf and flower, buds, or sudden blighting, discoloration, and death. So this is the effects of the earth being cursed, and this devil, ruling, going all the way back to Cain, and all these pesticides and all this stuff he's putting in the air and in the earth and in the waters. Is the effect is the plant life is suffering, animals are suffering, people are suffering, and then you had the hail, and with the fearful constellation, because they read the stars, they have their monthly prognosticators and all that, and it's not looking good for these devils. That's why I said they're wearied in the multitude of their counsels. So pretty much with that, I put some of these in the description box, and you brothers want to read further into it. But I just want to say this in closing, brothers don't get simple now and say, I ain't going to eat nothing because, everything is tainted. Brother, that's the point. We're going to eat our bread defiled among the nations. This is just bringing out more dirt on these devils, and bringing out the truth of what's really going on in the world and why shit is so fucked up. And it's all in the scriptures. I didn't even have to read any of that information, but I did just as to back what the scriptures are saying, to show you that there are studies that are done, and information that's hidden from the public eye, because the devil that's ruling is greedy, and he'll destroy. It tells you that in the movie Planet of the Apes. Driving back to his jungle lair, because he'll make a desert out of your land and mine. So this devil has to be put down, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will put them down. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified, and to the next time I say shalom.